So, what you want to do is first you want to make windows that look like these. Let's just do another one. Look like this. Look like stuff like that. Big, small, whatever. What it comes down to really is just curves. It's a bunch. It's a bunch of curves that all push together, and then plus a little bit of block work with signs. You'll find are really good for posts, and then you just put glass behind it, or you can just leave it open. Over up in a few of my builds, you just have the what's the word? Signs behind to give the effect of glass. You could do stained glass effects and stuff like that. There's a whole bunch you can do to give the effect of something being in the way. A really good one is also basic shelves, which I haven't seen many people do, which can be really helpful to do cross beams and keep them really, really thin. As for actually creating curves like this, the majority of it is, I'll just give you the step by step on how you make the curves. So if we're going to do let's do a 5 meter radius curve. So it'll be a 5 meter circle in diameter, 10 meter circle diameter will be the whole thing. But we're only going to do a quarter circle. So split it out to 5 meters. Then you want to grab the beam connector, and beam connectors are special because they only connect to 1 meter increments on beams. So you'll see it's 1 meter. 0.5 meter increments. 0, 0.5, 1. You know what I'm getting at. Either way, they go to direct measurements on it. So if you put it there, why it's used for that is now what you do is you put for this size, I'd recommend using small beams just for the smoother shape. Then you connect the beam back to the beginning, and you always want to start at the beginning. You then go to this. You want to be in freeform mode, and you want to connect it to the edge of this of the large beam of the pillar. You want to connect it to pillar, and as you probably saw, this does not show 5 meters. It's 5.099 meters, and that will add up. So if you want to make funky curves, you can take that into account, which I've done on a few occasions, not with any of the windows here. So you want to do that. Now you go to the beam connector, which is the really useful part, is it connects to whole increments. So if you do there, it's gotten rid of that 0.99 meter. That has connected to the 5 meter increment, and then you simply grab that and pull it there. And then, if you'll see here, it will be 5.99 meters again. And then you grab that, put that there, and you attach it there. What you're doing is you're attaching the concrete pillar to the beam connector. You're not attaching it to the painted beam. If you do it that way, you'll get you'll see how it'll slowly 5.99, and then this one will be 5.196, and it'll accumulate, which you don't want unless you do want it. So if you just finish this up, you'll see that we start getting our curve. And this is the majority of what you'll do for Gothic. But a lot of Gothic architecture is curves, it's ornate pieces. Now, the most difficult thing about curves is, especially like at weird increments, you straight up won't. You have 5 meters, and then if I turn it diagonal, it's ever so slightly just out of kilter from the rest. If I do that, you can see how it just ever so slightly comes out. That isn't too much of an issue. It can be an issue with some curves. I just say watch out for it. With this one though, I am just gonna, if you get a weird thing like that, I would just start up and there. So you want to keep your 5 meters, 5 meters, and then do the curve from one side up, and it will look fine. Now, the way to get it really smooth looking. When you pull out a beam, you'll see all these white lines of the outlines of all the all the small concrete beams, pillars. This is really useful for us. If you go one out, and then you want to be in freeform, and you can go to like the middle. You'll see like you have the crack there, the triangle. You want to go to the middle, one in from that one, and then you want to push it in. This can be annoying, but if you do it, you'll see you get a really nice curve out of it. At this point, I'm changing it to I'm moving it downwards instead of left. And then at the top and bottom, things I like to do is I just like to do a signifier. That's the start and the end. Don't have to do this. Something I like to do. And as you can see, you have a really smooth shape for not much effort. Then you can just get rid of the rest of the stuff. And that is your 5 meter increment, or 5 meter radius curve. Let's do 5 meter. Oh, beg your pardon. Lordy lord. Click there. 5 meter R curve. Spelt horribly wrong. I'm dyslexic. Flame me later. Now, once you have that, you clear this because you want to save it. I recommend when you're doing a window, get the sizes up first. How big do you want the window? What sort of hole do you want it to fill? For this, we've kind of been forced by the curve. I really recommend creating a whole load of them. I have everywhere from a 3 meter to a 10 meter, and then I've jumped to 20 and 35. I haven't found a need to go any bigger yet. There's been 1 or 2 special occasions where I've had to make unique curves, and I just haven't been bothered to save them and actually put them in, organize them yet. As you can see, a little bit of a mess. But once you have your 5 meter radius curve, let's say I want to make let's do a 6 meter radius, 6 meter wide window. When you're doing a window, if I'm doing a 6 meter curve window, I would the rule of thumb is halve it, then add 1, and that's the minimum that you can use in your curve. So for this, I'll show you in a minute how I'm going to make it, but just keep in note that I would not use any curves lower than 4 meters in the overall shape. Halve it, 3 meters plus 1 to 4. Otherwise you don't get the arch that I specifically go for. If you're looking for more of a curve, then go ahead, but for arches specifically, I find that it just kind of makes it look a little it makes it look unclean. When you get your curve, then pin it into one corner, and then you just want to flip it and pull it in the other one. And as you can see, you're getting a curve. If you use a 6 meter radius, let's do here, you will get a taller curve. And then as 7 and 8, it'll just create bigger, wider and wider curves. Or taller and taller peaks, sharper peaks, in fact. Which can create some really cool effects. When you're doing windows like this, you can, I found, just get rid of the excess at this point. And now we get to actually designing the window. Something I like to do is if you start at the peak and then do freeform down and just pin it 3 times, so you're turning it on a 45, and then go down, you can get a really nice effect. Oh. Which can be really nice. Also, you don't have to use beams for this. You can use H beams. You could use pillars. I just found that beams have looked the best for this. And as you can see, you get that bit. It does look a little bit funky on the side, but we're going to cover that up. There's a few ways we can cover it up. If you just like that, you can get rid of that point and then add your windows and stuff. So I quite often use, for like windows like this, go there, and then you have your window. Or you can start making your own windows using like braided copper, or sort of braided cable can be quite nice, but slightly more thin parts. And once again, you can do this entire curve technique with cable. It works completely the same. And you can always use tiny curves inside the windows. So here we go. Now you've got curves inside windows. And then just make sure you get rid of the excess. Oh, there we go. I'm going to keep that excess there just because. Yeah, we'll keep it like that. So you can get windows like that. But going back on track, how do you cover that up? I recommend just using a larger thing. So we used 5, or used the 5 meter radius curve we made earlier. I would recommend using 6, possibly even 7. You just go there, go 1 increment out, and you want to keep it the same curvature. So you probably want to, no, we'll just go 1 radius out, and it covers it up quite nicely. I'm kind of rushing a little bit just to show you what can be done. But you can be much neater with it and get a much more desired shape out of it. And then there you go. I would bring these out a little bit. Of course, you tidy this up in your world. Make sure you delete entities that don't need to be shown. There is nothing worse than finding out that you've wasted a bunch of space. No, I don't like that actually. But play around with it, see where things go. As for the actual cover-up, I'm sure you want to fit this into like something tileable, and you don't want to worry about dealing with spaces like this. You can use walls. It can be really helpful, I found, just for covering up shapes. That one might be a little bit too big, but there we go. Oh, goodness sakes. There we go. And then another really useful piece, if you don't want to use glass and things like that, a really useful piece is actually it's gate hole walls. You can create that beam, and it also really nicely covers up the side, and it also creates a nice part at the bottom. I've used that against some of my windows just to cover up on the edges, and there you go. You can, what's it, there we go into architecture. You can use ladders is another really good piece that you can use just to kind of fill in some of the gaps. Just be really creative with it. You can't really go wrong with windows. Just as long as you get the overall shape of the arch, you're not gonna go wrong with it. And yeah, I believe that's it. There's one or two tricks that you can do with depth and stuff like that to get some really cool effects, but all of these windows are basically doing the exact same effect. You see the curves round the 45 degree turns, and then the glass window, and it's just a bunch of different arches stacked up. You can see there's a frame there, so I've used it there. Over here, more arches. So it's just keeping, I would recommend just making a whole bunch of different radius arches and curves and stuff like that. They are so useful. Yeah, you can get away with some really cool funky things. This is done with ladders. Tons and tons of ladders rotated around each other, and yeah, you just get some really cool effects. Anyway, I hope that helped. I hope you had some inspiration and you can create some really cool things. Thank you for your time.